or something like that.
Ratings are so much more subjective than people believe. They think that 4-digit number means so much, and it's really just a range of all your skills, and it's not how you're going to perform, but it's how you performed in the last tournament. That can vary. I've often heard a parent say, my son's getting worse, and I think, is that really coming out of your mouth? How can you have more experiences and become less of a player? Now, you might not concentrate as well in a particular tournament as you did in another, but clearly every experience is making you a better player.
Absolutely.
And giving you something to draw upon. So
I really believe anybody that comes to the U.S. Nationals or U.S. Open or any of the major tournaments in the United States, you don't have to necessarily come to these 5-star. You can go to 4-star and see plenty of good players also. But I truly believe you learn something. You absolutely learn something by watching people, just being a part of this, and you get renewed enthusiasm. You see something, you want to play more, you want to tell other people. I really encourage people to come and watch. Okay, we're around beginning here. The match is starting.
So we have Felix on the near side. On the far side is Michael Chen. Right now we're going to be keeping up on the score. It's currently 0-2. And Michael with the serve, now trailing 1-2. Our scorekeepers are focused on other matches at the time, so this will be a new one for us.
Do you understand all the knobs and all these things we have to push and everything? And now we have a score online. Thank you, thank you.
Definitely want to give a shout out to David Del Vecchio, USA Table Tennis Board member, who's making all of this streaming possible. It's a one-man show, and Len and I are just happy to be able to share some of our passion and excitement for these matches here. We'll have streaming throughout the championships, and also want to thank the hard work of everyone at the control desk and the volunteers throughout this event. They really make it possible.
Seems to run very smoothly. 5-2. A lot of blocking from Michael, I'm seeing.
And again, 2 clubs on the same street, but only 2 of 7 that are located on Milpitas Boulevard. So Felix at the ICC, really nice forehand.
Must be a lot of topspin on Felix's ball, because, I mean, that's the 3rd one that Michael has missed on blocking. He blocked long. So either it's topspin or he's lifting the ball off the table.
And then there's that backhand flip that you talked about, keeping that racket tipped down and really spinning it up to get into the rally. We'll see if both players are able to kind of mix it up and not only play with the flip, but also drop shot it to take the service advantage away.
Now, I've noticed something else, Sean, that of watching the pros and a lot of the kids here, the juniors playing, and even I have started doing it, maybe because I've been watching the pros do it, but starting to serve where your hand is basically in the middle of the table presenting the ball. The truth of the matter is you're supposed to throw it nearly vertical, but you never hit it in the middle of the table. So you're kind of throwing it up and backwards. But what is the purpose? Is there really an advantage to having your hand halfway over the table like that?
I think a lot of it is still kind of remnants from when we were using a hidden serve and they wanted to toss it back a little bit. And so they're starting in the middle. You can see right now with Felix, he's doing the forehand serve from the backhand corner, but his hand's starting closer to the center of the table. And eventually with more and more umpired matches, now this one isn't umpired, which is a little unusual for the center court. Those umpires will jump on it if they see that near vertical. And Felix really taking control in game number 1. And again, ratings what they are. I mean, Felix coming in at the 2068 against Michael, who's slightly above at 2119. That's such a small amount. I mean, what exactly is a 30-point difference in rating?
0. It means nothing. And actually, I would go as far as to say that until you get to the 2300 maybe level, a 200-point difference means nothing. 1600 can beat an 1800 or for sure 1,000 beating a 12 or 12-14. I'm not sure if that's true at 2,300. A 2,500 level player against 2,300 usually wipes the floor with them. But at the lower numbers,
I think you might even see 300-point swings at the 1,500 and below. But it's really who's playing their favorite shots and who's playing their weak shots. And at the national levels and the 2,100s, these players should be competitive. I would expect that Michael, getting advice, will make some subtle changes, and Felix is going to try to keep this streak alive, just continuing to get his topspin in, mix it up, and keep the pressure on. But seeing the young kids play in these rating events is another good sign, because as we get a younger group, that's going to just translate to more and more knowledge being imparted into these players. It will be almost like normal to be at this age, at this high level.
Well, you see some of those pushes that just happen. I mean, you know, and I really see this as a coach, and especially in Hawaii where we have a limited pot of players. A lot of these players feel that when they push the ball, oh, that's the baby way to play. Could they be further from reality?
I mean, how you set up the point, how you force your opponent to give you a ball that you like. Excellent.
Look at that. Yeah.
Super job. And then
a
great combination by Michael. But Len, as you said, it's every shot makes a difference, and it can be either well placed or it can just be put over the net. And both these players are really mixing it up so well.
And you know, I see these servers, they go for so much spin. They want to put it, and of course then they deceptively put no spin. But the key that I see of everything is to keep it so darn low. I mean, you almost want to call a let on every serve, because did that touch the net? And that's the secret, because then you have to lift the ball. And if you have to lift it, you're putting power up, not forward. And it's more to your advantage to be able to return it than,
those serves that go over the net too high are so easily attacked with both the forehand. And now Felix on the offense but going long. Not unusual to see drastic changes from one game to the other, especially with coaching, because you're going to see a player eliminate certain shots or certain trends when their guy in their corner is saying, you know, don't do that. That's not getting you anywhere.
And you saw Michael just go over to the towel bucket. That's something that a lot of people don't take advantage of. Every 6 points, you know, you're permitted to towel off. If you watch the pros, whether they're just starting the match or it's the 5th game or 7th game, they're going every 6 points. It's a good time to think. Slow down. Don't rush into everything. Think about what's going on. Think about how did you make your point, and try to reproduce it again.
Felix very strong with the heavy topspin. He looks quite comfortable off the table, keeping the sustained attack. Michael needs to, there's the deep serves that we were talking about earlier, just putting pressure directly.
And to the forehand yet. Sorry.
Exactly. I think that both these players realize that catching the other one off guard can be just as important as how much power or spin they put on the ball.
And there was another case of a beautiful push that Felix had to make a less than adequate loop, and Michael was able to.
Again, Michael got away with a little bit of a loose ball there that Felix didn't capitalize on.
Again, back to the towel.
Yeah, just a chance to even dry your hand off and collect your thoughts. Felix really taking his time right now. Oh, that ball nicely caught the edge. So
it makes it 1-1.
Michael's evening it up, and this will be interesting. The first 3 to 5 points of this third game, to see which set of tactics comes out. As I'm sure that now Felix had a little bit of a whitewash in that game. He done the same thing to Michael in the first. Both players showing that they have the power, but do they have the ability to sustain and react to it and then turn it around?
And make the adjustments necessary to X out to the opponent. One makes an adjustment, you have to make an adjustment. It's a chess game. That's what it is, athletic chess, right?
So you see ICC going up against Silicon Valley. Both coaches are giving very strong advice, talking about possibly changing a serves, whether it's starting on a backhand side, or maybe again going aggressively like we saw Michael do with some deep serves to the forehand. As a junior, the small size sometimes can be a limiting factor when you've got to cover and try to attack that first ball and your opponent serving wide angles. But it's not necessarily they're trying to overspin it. They're just trying to catch you maybe leaning in one direction. So
how important is it for a long serve to hit right near the white line?
I mean, at this level with these guys, it's going to be pretty automatic, but it's going to be the surprise element. They're serving mostly short, low, and then usually one maybe out. There's a nice deep one right there.
Didn't get on it quick enough, and right in the net.
And Felix did a nice job of serving it right into the middle section where Michael needs to step around. If he doesn't get around quick enough, he's going to have a much more soft loop.
Don't you see that at the lower level where people forget about going into people's middle and they go, the corners, they're open. But isn't that where you always practice from the corners? That's really. Yeah, an excellent match here. Two pretty good players, and they may be friends. We don't know, you know, with 7 clubs on one street.
I mean, both players with really nice basic technique. You can see tactically they're mixing up the serves and getting that first attack in. Michael catching that net on that ball.
And I've seen more and more of the tomahawk serve at this tournament.
And I think then you'll see it, especially with the smaller kids. It's really tough to do what I guess would be the complementary pendulum serve. Oh.
Little frustration there.
That wasn't so hard of a racket toss, but clearly he thought he had the upper hand in that rally. Felix reaching out a little bit for the ball, not letting it come all the way back into his hitting zone. It looks like Michael's just a little bit more comfortable off the table, and some of it can be due to his size. But
another fast serve missed.
And I think Felix is going to the deep serve. He's got to remember that every time he does it, there is a chance that he could lose the point directly, so he can't go to the well too often. But he's moving the ball around. Felix is doing a great job of not just attacking to one location, but keeping Michael off balance.
Yeah, this is definitely a more competitive game, 7-4, rather than the blowouts of the first two. Oh, there's 7-5. And again, the towel, sorry.
Len, as you mentioned earlier, sometimes these matches in the middle or the kind of the up-and-coming rating divisions can be as competitive. It can be as exciting because it really comes down to styles and how the players kind of set up their shots. It's not necessarily you need to see a 2,600 plus rated match to get excited. These guys are very skilled, playing high-level tactics, beautiful strokes, both from the front court and back court. Michael apologizing for what both players felt might have been not necessarily a bad bounce, but it was a deep shot. So
yeah, it hit the white line. I mean, that's just fantastic.
You don't train for those that often because the balls very, very rarely go that deep.
And there again was that banana loop, backhand from the short forehand position.
Right. Yeah, both players really automatically going for that racket tip down and then opening up the ball.
So isn't that sort of the penhold advantage?
Yeah, it's the excuse me, middle of the table, not really having that transition point where you just put that racket tip down, and whether it's 6 inches to the left or 6 inches to the right, you don't have to think which side to hit it with. But as you so correctly mentioned earlier, Len, you got to cover that next ball. And it's one thing to get a flip on the table. It's another thing to be able to play that ball that gets jammed deep into your wide backhand while you're standing in the middle of the table over it.
Or watching your last shot, taking a picture, you know. I saw many of the new players. They make this great shot, and they forgot I have my. If you go to my website, you'll find under some information there's something called Lenisms. So I have all these Lenisms, and one is the ball is always coming back.
That's so true. And right now, both these there's an edge ball.
Another one. He hits deep.
I mean, Michael isn't getting lucky shots. These are balls that normally would land. It's just a lot of players have said that conditions in Vegas are a little bit fast. We are at, I believe it's around 2,500 feet, so we're on a plateau. So the ball is going to move more. And again, you're at the national championships. You're already going to have a little bit of extra adrenaline because you want to show your best stuff. And Michael's really looking strong. He's not being forced to do shots he's uncomfortable with. Felix, those deep serves, I don't know if by going to them and hoping for easy points or to catch Michael kind of snoozing, if that's causing him to rely on not working for the point. But this game, number 4, should be very interesting how they start to see if Felix changes his tactics or if he stays with the same.
And of course, they do each get 1 timeout per match. So neither player has called one yet.
Big chance in this game for if Michael gets a big lead. I wouldn't be surprised if coach takes a break, though you might think, well, he's hurting momentum, but maybe it's just to reaffirm that he's doing the right thing. And you see that from the Chinese players, especially in the first 2 games. They love to call timeouts to guarantee that they're
when they're
in the driver's seat. They don't want to miss an opportunity to be up 1-0 or 2-1. With these players, I'm sure their coaches are aware of the momentum. In some of the earlier rounds, we saw both the World Champions Table Tennis Academy, Stefan Fett, our national coach, really getting strong timeouts. So we'll see how Felix goes, but it looks like Michael's on the board.
Short middle serve.
And maybe that extra 19 points in the under 2100s is
don't get me started.
beginning to shine right now.
Don't get me started on the rating. There was an article done in the Japanese magazine by a lady who came and played in our tournament. It was from Hawaii. And she did a big story on ratings and people's opinions of it. So you can read what I thought there.
I think these kids really have it going on. I mean, they've, again, got really good technique. I mean, their forehand loops are strong. Their serve return is strong. They're mixing it. Maybe footwork will be something that they continue to work on to get better shot selection. But clearly you can see them playing a very high level. Beautiful loops and counterattacks. It seems like the first attack is never enough in this match, that you're going to have to put 2 and 3 together. A little bit of a lucky ball there by Michael, pushing a push. But I think that surprised Felix. He wasn't expecting that ball to come as deep.
Well, there's that push again that people, I just think that it's underutilized sometimes. Oh, a good topspin rally here.
Good job. And Felix, being that much smaller, he needs to stay closer to the table. As he backs up, it's going to be that much more difficult. And
here's the timeout.
First timeout by the ICC corner. And now the coach is definitely realizing that down 2-1 in games and at 5-2, it's going to be very difficult. It's going to be very difficult to come back.
We'll see what the coach gives. What kind of information does Felix come out at and try to execute?
I'm sure the coach is mentioning to him to tighten up, not go for such big shots, but he doesn't have any points to waste at this point. Really take your time, keep the ball on the table. Don't go defensive necessarily, but don't go for a shot that's not there. Don't try to hit a winner when you can put maybe a little bit extra spin on the ball. But at the same time, Michael's playing excellent. He's really putting the combinations together, and it seems like the deep serves haven't had the same effect on him in this last game.
Well, that's the one thing about the deep serve. It surprises you, but if it's done too often, the surprise is gone.
The element is completely gone, and it's so easy for both these players with nice forehands to aggressively play against it. Again, very strong play by Michael, able to withstand Felix's strong opening loops.
Again, middle serve. Nice open that time by Felix. Backhand.
both these players strong on both the forehand and backhand side.
You can see why they're 21-19. Oh.
Felix just catching the net on that last forehand loop. And Michael really in the driver's seat in game 4 of this under 2100 eighths round.
Wow, nice rally.
What an amazing
rally.
shot. That was awesome. I mean, that's probably the point of the tournament so far, at least on our live streaming cam. Excellent play by both Michael and Felix.
Oh, did you notice, Michael, when he tried to return it, he put a little extra side spin on it, but I think it might have screwed him up, actually.
Yeah, I think the lack of forward momentum on the ball made it tough for
Right.
both. We're having to do some touch shots. But Felix is clawing his way back, and he's got to win this game. Otherwise,
It's over.
it's over, and Mike will be advancing to the quarterfinals. Oh, beautifully placed block by Felix, really catching Michael in the backhand corner. Wondering if Michael's coach is thinking if Felix is able to take the lead, if he'll go for the timeout as well.
Ooh.
Beautifully placed short ball. It was a
Yep.
little bit high, but it was so short, and here comes the timeout on the other side. Not too surprising after having what looked like control of game 4, not wanting to let this opportunity.
No, if he loses this game, the pressure's on him in game 5.
He'll definitely, and Felix will feel that like he dodged a bullet and almost have a second life. So quite interesting to see exactly what comes out of this timeout, whether Michael goes for a little bit more power, if he plays for a little more placement. It seems like Felix's offensive kind of mindset for the last few points has served him well and allowed him to get back into this match when it wasn't looking that good for Felix.
Mm-hmm. It's always scary also. You give a little confidence to the other guy, and all of a sudden he feels he can do it.
Right, in these 11-point games, the momentum shifts so quickly when one player thinks he's nearing the finish line but hasn't quite gone over it. Looked like the right shot, but Felix forcing it just a little bit too much, trying to finish the point versus continue the attack.
Oh,
That
push
ball,
long.
but it caught the edge. That
Oh,
was
did?
the amazing
Oh.
thing. Yeah, he got the back edge, and I think the table tennis gods have been on Michael's side so far this game. He's had a couple of deep balls that caught the back line, and very well placed, aggressive serve.
If you're going to serve a fast serve, it needs to be deep.
Needs to be deep, and you know it's going to come back fast, so you've got to get ready instantly. You shouldn't be surprised by a fast return off a fast serve. And Michael, excellent performance.
Wins
Really
11.
took, I mean, the timeout worked to a T, and both players should be very pleased with their performance here in Las Vegas. But Michael Chen, the top seed in the under 2100s, will move into the quarterfinals.